All right, good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock and we're going to get started. I'd like to thank everyone for your attendance this evening. My name is Councillor Todd Attridge. I'll be chairing the public meeting tonight as I am the Portfolio Chair of Planning and Development Department. I'm joined by staff and members of Council. Starting on my left, we've got Councillor Adam, Councillor Mink, Deputy Mayor Holloway Woodwall, Mayor Elena, and Councillor Liss. We're going to start, as we always do, with a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Now we'd like to read our Indigenous land acknowledgement. The municipality of Port Hope exists on the lands of the Mississauga Anishinaabe traditional territory covered by the Williams Treaties. We honor and recognize First Peoples as rights holders and stewards of the land and waters on which we have the privilege to live, work, and play, including the Ganaraska Forest and River. We pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. We commit to actions towards truth and reconciliation by recognizing the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, strengthening ties with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, especially those who make their home in Port Hope, and learning from Indigenous ways of knowing and being. We do so by recognizing the past and working towards a shared future. Moving on to declarations of pecuniary interest, are there any declarations from members of Council? And I will note that there were none received in advance. Nope, seeing none. So we're here tonight for a public meeting that is held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. This meeting is a prescribed requirement under the Act and represents only one component of the planning and development process. Please note that no decisions will be made at tonight's meeting. The format of today's public meeting is as follows. First, the applicant or their representative will provide an overview of the application and policy framework for review. Then municipal staff will provide an overview of the technical review and the public consultation. Council members may ask questions of the applicant or staff or provide comments at this time. Finally, members of the public who wish to provide input will be able to do so by coming to the podium up here in the center. Alternatively, if you don't want to speak at the podium, you can provide input via written submissions to planning@porthope.ca. Please note, as the chair, I may call on the applicant or staff to provide clarification on matters raised by members of the public. I would like to note that there are sign-in sheets over here near the entrance. If you wish to be added as an interested party to this item and be notified when a notice of decision is issued, please ensure you fill out the sign-in sheets with your information. So now we're going to get started. It's time for us to start the public meeting for this evening. This is regarding a proposed zoning bylaw amendment application to rezone the subject lands from general commercial, COM2, to general commercial exception 153, which is COM2 153, to recognize the reduced lot area and frontage of 79 Toronto Road and general commercial exception 154, which is COM2 154, to recognize the reduced lot area and frontage of 81 Toronto Road to meet a condition of consent file number B04-2022. I would like to note that council members are not here tonight to express their opinions for or against the proposed changes. The time for that will come when the matter is brought forward for consideration at a future meeting of the Committee of the Whole. So I'd like to now call upon planning staff if you would like to introduce the speaker for the applicant.
Hi, thank you, Todd, and thank you for coming tonight to this public meeting. My name is Jacqueline Mann, and I'm the planner who's in charge of this file. I'd like to introduce Bob Clark, who is the agent and applicant on file for this application.
Okay. Thank you, Jacqueline. Members of council and members of the public. Yes, I've already been introduced, so I don't need to do that again. If I could have the next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. This slide illustrates the subject land, and as was indicated, the lands on what I'm going to refer to as the north, which is on the left-hand side, is now a vacant parcel of land after the consent was granted, and that is one of the applications. The lands on what I'm going to call the south, or on the right-hand side, is slightly larger, and it is also the location of an existing residence, which we intend to recognize as a legal non-conforming use. The next slide, please. This is a photograph of the northern portion of the subject lands. You'll see a building in the background. That's actually on the adjacent property further to the east. So these lands go back to that property, and there you can get a glimpse of the residence, which is on the southern portion of the property. The next slide, please. Thank you. I don't know whether you can make out the numbers here, but what we've attempted to do here is to provide you with the land use in the area. And our purpose in doing this is to say that the subject lands, which have already been granted as a consent, are somewhat larger than other lands, and the proposed uses of those lands are similar to the uses in the immediate area. As you can see, there are commercial uses to the north, an industrial use to the east, and residential uses around the property itself. The next slide, please. The proposal, the site area is 2,600 square meters. The existing house has been present on the site since 1954. The proposed consent reestablishes the parts that were originally separate parts. Access, water, sewer, and storm sewer service connections exist for what is in effect a new lot on the northern side, and development is limited to the severed lot and will not create a significant impact on capacity of existing facilities. So we have good servicing capacity there. The supporting documentation that has been provided, wait for the next slide, is a survey plan, and the number is listed here, and the notice of decision for the consent that was granted in July of 2022, and we have a planning justification report and a draft zoning bylaw which we prepared. The planning review considered these matters. The Planning Act under Section 34, which deals with zoning. The provincial policy statement, which indicates that development should take place within an urban area and should provide for alternatives and provide for reasonable uses in that area. The growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, again emphasizing the urban use and the urban areas. The County of Northumberland official plan, which similarly designates this area as urban, and the Port Hope official plan, which also designates this area as commercial, and the zoning bylaw, which is 20-2010. I have on the next slide the Port Hope official plan, and this shows that these lands are within a commercial designation, so a highway commercial designation, and our proposal is to zone them as such, recognizing the existing residence as a legal non-conforming use. Next slide, please. This is the zoning bylaw, which indicates that the properties are currently zoned commercial 2, and both properties, the adjacent properties are in a residential, so that the residential use is not unreasonable in this location. In looking at the standards for the COM2 or general commercial zone, we do require a zoning bylaw, which is the purpose of this application, and that has to do with the minimum lot area and the minimum frontage. And as indicated here, the severed lands, which are the northern portion, are 1,181.7 square meters with a frontage of 30.2. and the retained lands are 1489.3 square meters with a frontage of 30.9. As I've indicated, those are not unreasonable or unusual within the subject lands. The next slide, please. This gives you the zoning standards, and those are the standards which we are seeking to amend. The proposed schedule, which is the next slide, indicates that the subject lands, the COM2 can remain on the existing lot. It's the, we need an exception for both of these because the severance is on the 81 and the residential use is on 79, and we need an exception for both of those areas. There is a zoning bylaw sketch, and that illustrates the location of the buildings in proximity to the proposal, and also shows a more detailed dimensioning for those properties. My opinion, which is the next slide, is that the provincial policy, the county and the municipal official plan support the proposed development. The amendment to the zoning bylaw complies with the planning policy, and the consent was approved subject to a zoning bylaw amendment, and the proposed lots are similar and in many cases larger than lots in the immediate area. The approved, severed, and retained lots are compatible with the character of the area, and the existing residence is recognized as a legal non-conforming use. That's my presentation, Mr. Chairman, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Does council have any questions for the applicant? No, seeing none. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
So now I'm going to ask planning staff to please make their presentation and introduce the report.
Hi, and thank you, Bob, for that great summary. I'm going to talk about the overview of the technical review and the public consultation process as mandated through the Planning Act. Do I need to sing it for you? Okay. So the municipality deemed the zoning bylaw amendment complete on April 9th. The zoning bylaw amendment, as Bob just stated, is being requested to satisfy a condition of consent B04/2022 that was approved on July 21st, 2022. A public consultation process was part of the consent application review as well. There were no comments from the public at that time. The purpose of the consent application, as Bob outlined, was to sever a lot that was inadvertently merged on title and return both of these lots to their original configuration. It was done in 2020. That's why we have to do a zoning bylaw amendment. The merging. The merging of the lots. So the purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment application is to rezone the subject lands from general commercial to general commercial 150 exception 153, and that's for the property with the existing house, and general commercial exception 154, that's the vacant lot, to recognize the reduced lot area and the frontage for these lots. In terms of the technical circulation, the application was circulated to agencies and departments on April 10th, 2024. And as I stated before, all agencies and departments reviewed the consent application in 2022. There were no concerns or objections noted by all agencies. And also, Works and Engineering did provide comments about the future development and servicing of the 81, the vacant property, if and when it wants to be developed. Since the public meeting report was published, we received comments from Northumberland Planning, and they have no objection to the proposed rezoning application and wish to be provided with a copy of the decision for their records. And to date, there have been no public comments received. Public consultation, as required through the Planning Act, notice of the application was mailed to all addresses within 120 meters of the subject lands on April 9th. A sign was posted on site, and we have a picture of it, on April 22nd, 2024. And information about the application was published on the municipal website on April 10th, 2024, meeting all of the notice requirements of the Planning Act. In terms of next step, the applicant would now address any public or agency circulation comments. After that, the planning department prepares a planning recommendation report based on policy compliance and all comments received. The planning recommendation report is then reviewed at the committee of the whole to decide if the application should proceed to council for final decision. If the proposed bylaw goes to council for a decision, if it's approved, a notice of decision is issued, which starts an appeal period of 20 days, after which it is final and binding. And that concludes my presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Nope, seeing none. Great, thanks very much. Bob, did you have any questions for Jacqueline on her presentation? You're good. Okay, thanks. So we're going to go to submissions from members of the public. Before we begin submissions from the public, I would like to note that the agenda contains important information with respect to your opportunity to provide your comments on this matter and the appeal process. I will remind you that if you want to have the ability to appeal the eventual decision of the municipality of Port Hope to the Ontario Land Tribunal, you must make either a written submission or make comments at a public meeting before the proposed bylaw is considered for adoption. All interested parties who wish to speak on this matter tonight should approach the microphone, state your name, your address, and then press the talk button. I would also remind you, for anyone who's in attendance, but especially for those looking to speak this evening, please ensure that you have completed the sign-up sheet near the entrance before you leave. The sheet assists municipal staff as it provides a record of attendance and contact information if a notice of decision is requested. Is there anyone, any members of the public who would like to speak to this issue? Okay. We do? Yeah. Hi. Yeah, please come on up. Yeah, and just when you get up here, you have to press the on button, and that'll turn on the light for your mic. That way you know that you're being recorded.
The red light?
And then if you can give your name and address. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Deborah Murray. I own 85 Toronto Road, which is on the corner and beside one of the properties in question. And I just wanted to make note that 65% of the building on that property is residential, and my daughter and her family live in that building. So I just wanted to make note of that. Okay, so I do have some concern regarding them being completely surrounded by commercial. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. And you you did sign in as well, right?
I will sign in.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want this turned off?
Surprisingly, it often turns itself off. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Nope, seeing none. Then this concludes the public meeting for tonight. We'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much for coming here.